Hey everybody, Todd Dammit Kerns here. Welcome to Todd Dammit Kerns Talks To, brought to you today by not just Hohner instruments, but Lanikai ukuleles. My very first ukulele bass. How rad is that? Today we're talking to a very dear friend of mine. He plays in a band, played in a band with that guy and this guy. He plays with Ace Frehley and Gene Simmons. And he had his own band that I really loved called Hair of the Dog. From Nashville, Tennessee, Ryan Cook. There. We're on. And we're on. From Nashville, Tennessee. How long you been in Nashville now?
I got back here March 8th, 2004.
Wow. So you're local.
Yeah.
16 years later.
I didn't think, because, I came here from LA. This is my second time here.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
I came here from LA. I came here from LA. I got moved here. I was here.
That's gonna be really interesting to talk about. The Los Angeles Nashville thing will be very interesting to talk to. But quickly, before I get into that, last time we saw each other, of course, we know each other through Brent Fitz and indirectly through Gene Simmons, that whole thing. So you guys playing together. You got a conspirator shirt out of the deal. You're part of the gang, part of the family.
Yeah. And so let's just tell everybody real quick. Before we move on, because we were talking before this started. Yeah. I wore this in honor of you and Fitz and Frank and Slash and Miles. And because last time you and I saw each other in person in the same room was when we played the Ryman. And I picked this shirt up that night. And that's the night Fitz had surgery and could not play, remember?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we had Shane Gallus playing drums that night. That's right.
He did great.
Yeah. That was his first night.
Yeah, I missed seeing Fitz. Of course.
Yeah, I know.
But I had to totally applaud that guy because I did know that was the first night. And he did great. And, man, we couldn't have timed that show more perfectly. I walked in, down the aisle set. The minute my ass hit the seat, the lights went down and you started. I'm like, that's the way to get into a show.
Exactly. As a musician, you start to do that later on. Like, I find that, like, I don't know if I'm just getting old or what it is. It's kind of like, what time are you guys on stage? And it's kind of like, oh, we go on at 10. I go, but what time are you on stage? Yeah.
I want to know, what is downbeat? That's my new thing.
Exactly.
What's showtime? So when is downbeat?
Yeah. Just walk in, sit down, show, good night. Yeah.
It was perfect. Great show.
That was an amazing night, man. The Ryman Theater, that's, like the Grand Ole Opry was just like a big deal to me. Like I wandered that building 100 times, kept going around, taking pictures of this, taking pictures of that.
And you still didn't get to see everything.
No, not at all. And I think that's the most fascinating thing is it's just so much history, dude. Like you're standing on that stage going like, it just blows your mind what's all happened on that stage and in that building. But so let's go back now. So where did you come from originally? Because I went through your stats a bit, but yeah.
Yeah, Topeka, Kansas. Grew up.
Great.
Born and raised. My family's still there. And then I left there when I was 20, and I made my way here
to Nashville.
And then I was only here a year and a half.
Really?
And then I got moved to LA.
So interesting. So what got you into like when the love affair with the guitar happened? Was this when you opened the Kiss album and all that stuff happened, or what was it that kind of got you into music in the first place, for that matter?
Here's the thing: is when I was a little kid in Topeka, I had a cousin who I would just follow everywhere.
There's always a gateway family member, isn't there?
Yeah. And he had an acoustic guitar.
Okay.
And I also remember when he got his first Music Man electric guitar and Music Man amp.
Oh, wow.
Okay. But he was taking lessons. He's older than me, probably 6 or 7 years older than me, I'd say at least.
Okay.
And whenever I went to his house, because we were over there every weekend, because he lived next door to my grandma, his family.
Right.
So we were always on Sundays was the big day. But anyway, he always had this huge pile of sheet music, and it was always the hits of the day. It was John Denver. It was Glenn Campbell. It was Kiss. It was Three Dog Night. It was everything.
Wow.
And before I could even play, I would go over and sit and sing along. And of course, since I love Kiss, I had to sing Hard Luck Woman and Beth every weekend because that's the only sheet music he had, right?
Amazing.
And just because he played guitar, I wanted to play guitar.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So is that what, did you like nag your mother to death until suddenly there was a guitar?
Nope.
Or?
And then here's what happened. So
okay.
I was only 6 or 7 when that happened. And then fast forward a couple of years, my mom decided she wanted to play guitar.
Oh.
My dad bought her one for her birthday, an Epiphone acoustic 6-string.
Same thing I started with.
Yeah. She took one lesson and it's set in the closet for 2 more years because she was busy being, both my parents worked full time.
Right.
And then my sister and I are 5 years apart. So there was no time for my mom to sit down and learn to play guitar. It was about us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everything.
Absolutely.
And then finally, after a while, I'm like, wait a minute, there's a guitar in the closet.
Yeah. Just sitting there.
And started taking lessons when I was a little kid. The lessons didn't take.
How old were you when you started taking lessons?
9 or 10.
Oh, so pretty young. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But it didn't take until I was probably 13. So those 3 years in between there were just wasted of me going to lessons, learning. Remember those Mel Bay books?
Oh, yeah. 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 Absolutely. Yeah.
Not interested when I was a little kid.
No.
And I didn't know the walk before run. I wanted to run in and learn how to play Wang Dang in Detroit and Cat Scratch Fever, right?
Of course, yeah.
So those first few years was me being frustrated, not being able to learn what I wanted, but also being too stupid to know that you can't do that until you learn the stuff in the Mel Bay books. And there are different ways to teach people. You know that.
Yeah, of course.
I wasn't motivated at all until I learned bar chords. And then the minute I did that.
Yep. That's suddenly the
clouds parted.
Yeah, the clouds part, the sun shines, and you're like, and what was the impetus for rock and roll? Like when you were a kid, was it Kiss? Was it all that stuff?
Absolutely.
I mean,
I can still remember seeing them on the People's Choice Awards.
Oh wow.
They weren't on there, but Lydia Chris was on there, accepting when they won.
That's right.
They weren't like they'd show each person, like Donny Osmond, Kiss. And then, they show each person. Since Kiss wasn't there, they showed a live clip. I was
you're like,
what?
Yeah.
And that's when it started, seriously.
I always talk about that.
Sister, yeah, my sister's 5 years older.
Okay.
So we already had Led Zeppelin, Double Live Gonzo,
oh,
Toys
okay.
in the Attic, Cat Scratch Fever. All that was in the house already.
Oh, okay. There you go, yeah.
And we shared a wall. Her room was next to mine.
Right.
So, and we both had record players, and all her records ended up in my room. So that's really how it happened. I mean,
That's so great, dude, because I remember going to my friend's house, and he had older siblings, and it was like, it kind of seemed like it was the quintessential Frantic Comes Alive, Fleetwood Mac Rumors, like it was just all the class, and Aerosmith and Alice Cooper, $1 Billion Babies, and I was like, what is all this, dude? It's like there's like this treasure just in the next room from your bedroom. I'm like, how do you not like? He's like, oh, but yeah, the same thing for me, because I know what you're talking about when you saw like actual video of Kiss, because when we were kids, everything was in 2-dimensional form. I talked about this with somebody else. I was saying how, looking at an album cover, you would just stare at it while you're listening to Love Gun or whatever. You never really saw them.
Thank you.
Yeah, you never really saw them moving. And when you see it on TV, it was just a revelation to be like, oh my God, what is going on here, And now you can find, you find any band, you can watch, their entire career on YouTube. Yeah.
And here's where my age comes into play. Okay, because what you're talking about having an album, having an album and not being able to see it, but it was literally having something tangible to sit, especially if you were lucky enough to get a gatefold.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But that's why I feel like there's such a difference today. Like I almost feel like sometimes artists are too accessible, because when we were kids, we had Midnight Special.
Yeah.
We had Don Kirshner's rock concert.
Yeah.
Cream, Hit Parader, and Circus.
Totally.
That was it.
Totally.
I mean, there was nothing that told you, unless he was in the TV Guide, there was nothing that told you that 2 months from now that, Alice Cooper was going to be on Don Kirshner's rock concert or something.
No.
It was luck of the draw, dude. And if you happened to turn on that night and you saw them in the preview, you're like, yes.
Yeah, exactly. Solid Gold was like that too. In more towards the 80s, you'd see like, oh wow, random, and like you say, some nights it would be more pop-oriented groups, but once in a while there'd be a rock group, and it would be like, whoa, it would just change everything. Yeah.
Do you remember the night? Okay, because I was so little that I stayed at my grandma's every weekend. Solid Gold was on when I was in grade school. And man, it was always hosted by Dionne Warwick or Marilyn McCoo or people like that.
Later on, it was Andy Gibb. Andy Gibb. Yeah.
And it was never our bands.
No, never
but
rock bands.
We watched it anyway because it was music.
Yeah.
Do you remember the night? I remember the night when finally I would sit and pray every Saturday. Like Kiss. I was like, what?
That's right. Yeah, it was on the Elder, wasn't it?
World Without Heroes.
Yeah, and Yeah, that was a big deal, dude. It was a massive deal.
Couldn't believe it. I know. It was like, finally.
Yeah, I know. What? Yeah. But you're right, though, because music was such a, we were all obsessed, not just with rock and roll. I mean, obviously we loved rock and roll, but even when like the radio, like the AM radio that we grew up on, they weren't playing Kiss and Ted Nugent and Black Sabbath. They were playing the pop hits of the day. So you kind of knew, you knew everything, really, kind of. And
dude,
whatever.
I remember being a kid, and also our AM radio and some of the AM stations played rock and country.
Oh, okay, there you go.
And I keep using Rhinestone Cowboy as an example because it was such a huge song,
dude,
of the 70s, not of one year, but of the 70s. So you would hear Glenn Campbell and Mac Davis back to back with I remember when Leif Garrett would cover like Do Run or
Run, yeah. All that stuff, yeah.
It was with Frampton Comes Alive woven in there.
Yeah, it is kind of a wacky time to consider what we consider classic rock now would have been current, but then, like you say, elements of country and pop, and then once in a while you would hear Cat Scratch Fever or something like that. So it would depend on where you grew up too. So I imagine Kansas, it has a whole different thing. So when you picked up the guitar, how long was it before you were like starting bands with friends and all that stuff? When you actually started playing guitar?
14 years old.
Okay.
So right when I told you when I about ended up being 12, going to 13, when I learned the bar chords and all that kind of stuff, I'm going, oh, that's it.
Right.
Oh,
right.
pentatonic. Oh, and then you start learning what you can do. Everything changed. So by the time I was 14 is when, in my junior high school, we started putting a band together. The first band was Sweet Cheater.
Was that named after the Rat song? Awesome. Yeah. Of course it had to be. That's the best.
Yeah. But yeah, as early as 14, man, we were trying to all get together and jam. It was great.
And was that like covers and stuff, or were you trying to write like metal and like hard rock and stuff like that?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
When I was a kid in junior high, if it wasn't hard rock, I was not into it.
You didn't want to hear about it, yeah.
As much as I appreciate and love Duran Duran, and stuff, all that stuff today, and In Excess, and
there was a world of it
the
back
Fix,
then. Yeah, Depeche
I was
Mode,
having none of that.
Yeah,
none of it.
Yeah, no, I need loud guitars. Yeah.
And man, I was all hard rock. We were Dio, we were Rat, we were Deep Purple, all the '70s stuff. And man, what a fun time though, because it was when you're a very impressionable weird kid and you're 14, and then you see something like Dokken and Rat or Judas Priest, Iron Maiden. I remember everybody in our school was just a metal high school, man. It was such a junior high.
Because you become obsessed. If you like guitar rock, there was that phase where there was a whole world that unfolded it came from England, as it always does. And then it eventually, then it came from the Sunset Strip, that whole and beyond. But I mean, like, then all of a sudden there was a whole world of everybody had to grow their hair and had to play crazy and sit in the basement just shredding, all day long. And back then we knew kids, I would know kids who were 16 who were, some of the, at least in my memory, I was like, this guy's as good as Eddie Van Halen. Everybody would just
absolutely
not chasing girls, just sitting around playing guitar all day.
Absolutely. And I remember a couple of those. I remember that person in my town that you're talking about, who in my mind was that guy. It's like, that guy can play Eruption.
Yeah.
Because before Eruption, I heard my sister's friends talking about it, and it was Heartbreaker. It was the middle of Heartbreaker.
Sure.
That whole thing.
Yeah, totally.
And if you couldn't do that, go back and practice. And then when Eruption, like, to know a guy that could play Eruption when you're a kid was like, what?
Yeah, I know. People kind of forget because the 90s sort of veered away from that kind of musicianship that way. So, but and then when it started to present itself again, then it'd all of a sudden be like, I know this 17-year-old kid who's playing, the solo for Crazy Train and the solo for Jump. And I go, well, I knew a guy who was 12 playing that when we were kids, but it's awesome that they're doing that, So how long was it after that you guys started? I mean, did you start playing gigs, or was there gigs to even play, or how does that work?
So junior high, we're a kid. We couldn't even drive yet.
No.
Our folks would take us to each other's houses to literally set up in basements and play. And that's what it was. And then a couple of years went by, and then I actually got into high school to when you meet other friends, because then when you get to high school, it's kids from other schools getting together. And then we got legitimate bands, and it was still covers. And we would throw a couple things that we wrote in there.
Sure.
But if you wanted to play in front of people where I grew up, and I think it was a lot of that most places, because you're playing to younger kids, you had to learn everything.
Of course, yeah.
Of that day. So it was all covers.
Yeah.
And I played in cover bands, and then the last cover band I played in Topeka, we were writing music and that kind of stuff, but nothing ever became with the band. And everybody
now,
moved on.
Was that band in Kansas, or was it in Nashville by that point?
In Kansas.
Okay.
Because like I said, I was playing bands in Kansas up until the probably 4 or 5 months before I left. Because that last 4 to 6 months, I was just working. I was always working, but I was always working much more full time to save money to get out of there.
Oh, I see. So was Nashville always the goal, or were you kind of like in Hollywood and that scene that was happening out there? That's kind of where
it wasn't. I honestly think I always kind of felt like I would go to California.
Right.
But for some reason, getting to Nashville first, I kind of felt like I wasn't ready for it. I don't know why. I don't know if I was a chicken shit or just whatever. I didn't feel like, I just knew there was a major music scene here, but dude, it was not rock and roll at all. And there was very much an aversion to rock and roll.
Right.
Also.
So you come to town with your long hair and your rock and roll guitars, and it's kind of like, I don't quite fit into this scene.
Yeah.
So Hollywood was okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I met a lot of people and I was working at EMI Music Publishing at the time. I was the tape copy guy.
Oh wow! Okay.
So I was working at a publishing company.
Amazing.
And everybody there was super nice to me. Super nice. Great people and everything. But I could tell within the first 6 months that I was like, I got to go to California. I didn't know where else to go. I knew I wasn't going to New York.
Right. Yeah, that's a different scene entirely.
I love New York, but I just knew it was not even an option then.
No.
So I was here a year and a half working at the publishing company. And at that time, Desmond Child was writing there.
That's right.
And Desmond heard me in the basement record. They'd let me go in and record at night.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
He's the one that brought me to L.A.
That's right. I remember this is such a crazy story. Yeah, because and anybody who doesn't know, Desmond is the songwriter behind Living on a Prayer.
He was doing everything that I was a major part of at that time. Bon Jovi, Alice Cooper, Aerosmith.
Yeah.
Kiss.
Yeah.
And then on the side, then it was also Cher and Michael Bolton and Joan Jett. And he was everywhere with everything.
Yeah.
And he's the one that introduced me. And, people are like, oh, you went out there and Desmond produced your first record. Not even close.
Really?
Desmond's management company was working with a new band that needed a singer.
Okay.
And I'm like, well, if I'm going to sing, I'm playing guitar too, because they were a 3-piece band. I'm like, well, you're going to be a 4-piece band.
Okay.
I do it.
Right.
But once he just introduced us, and then that was it. Once I got there.
Now, was that Hair of the Dog?
Yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't even called Hair of the Dog yet.
Okay.
Like, we ended up getting a new drum. We ended up, they had their high school friend that moved out with them from Michigan.
Yeah.
There was a drummer.
Right.
And we figured out that we needed to do something different. And, we were learning the right songs and everything. So the first few years I was there, it was just learning how to write a song and to not suck.
Well, seriously. It's nice that you had a reason to go to Los Angeles as opposed to just with your suitcase and your guitar, getting off the Greyhound bus and like see what happens. But you had an actual destination, an actual plan. That makes a big difference. So what part of LA were you living in when you got there?
Granada Hills.
Granada Hills. Okay, great.
So if there's no traffic,
that's the key thing. If there's no traffic.
Yeah. It's probably 20 minutes from, say, Studio City, almost 25 from Hollywood. Right, but that's the thing. There never was no traffic. So we were outside of town. But the reason being, though, we got a full house with a pool.
Oh, wow.
With a detached garage that we soundproofed as a rehearsal space.
Sure, yeah.
And for what we were paying, I think it was $13.50 a month.
Damn.
Back then.
Imagine what that is now.
Oh, it's got to be hard. And that was 93. Yeah. That was 93.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So anyway, I was there for not very long, and then I lost I was down the street in an apartment from the band house because those guys were there before me, and I just wanted to live alone anyway. I wasn't wanted to live in a band house. I lost everything in the quake, Northridge.
Oh, right. Damn, dude. Welcome to Hollywood.
So then, no shit, man.
Yeah.
So then moved into studio. Then we all moved into Studio City.
Oh, okay. Great.
And I stayed there the whole rest of the time I was there.
So how long, now, just to rewind, did you audition from like a distance, or was it actually you went to LA, auditioned for the band, and then stayed kind of thing? Okay.
Nope, went there, hung out. We want to make sure we liked each other.
Sure.
I went there for 3 days. And
Really?
we did it. We hung out, and I was like, at the end of it, like after the first night, we were like, this is going to work. And then when I left and they dropped me off at LAX on that third day, I'm like, I'll see you in 2 months.
Oh, wow. So you actually came back for another couple months to
Came back,
tie
worked
things up.
more, saved more money, lined up a job in LA before I even left.
Great.
We weren't making any money.
No, I know. Yeah.
We didn't even have a record deal.
That's funny. So what was the connection? What was their connection to Desmond at this point?
Because our guitar player, John Sepetys,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
He went to MI.
Oh,
GIT,
okay.
whatever it is.
Okay.
Right?
And he was like a hot dog.
Interned to Desmond's management company.
Ah, okay. Interesting.
So
Wow.
it all starts coming together.
It is a funny
Yeah.
game. It is a funny game that keeps coming up in all these conversations of how it's always who you know. You know, you knew Desmond. He connected
Absolutely.
you to that. You went to LA. And that was,
Yep.
How long were you in LA?
Yep. I got there very early '93, left mid 2004.
So now you went kind of as the Sunset Strip was definitely on a downturn, because
Yep.
I remember being out there around 91, 92, and it was still rocking. Like everybody talks about it like as if Nirvana came out and it was gone. It hung on for a while. Yeah. Yeah.
They act like it's tumbleweeds.
Yeah. No.
Same thing for me, because when I got there, man, I got to tell you, as dead as everybody said it was, because here's the thing: you look at the footage and all that stuff from whatever.
Yeah. 86 or
it
something.
looked like spring break, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every night.
And it
didn't
kind of
look like that
was.
when I got there, but it was still really rocking
Yeah.
and happening in my pea brain.
Oh, of course. Compared to Kansas or whatever. Yeah. It was,
Compared to Nashville.
Really? Well, okay, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. And man, I got to tell you, I think that place, sorry, this Instagram thing keeps coming up. I
Oh, quite right.
It's like when I got there, I was just like, this is the best place in the world. And
Yeah.
it in my eyes, it was never dead.
I don't think so either, because we would always go down, and do showcases, and Fridays and Saturdays seemed like it always seemed to me. So I never actually put down roots there, but it's a whole other animal. So then the process of Hair of the Dog, how long does it take before you're where are you playing shows? Are you doing the Strip? Are you doing Troubadour? Where are you guys playing?
We played everywhere that you read about in the magazine, like you and I read about in Circus and Hip Raider. We
Right.
played the Troubadour. We
Yeah.
played the Roxy. We played the House of Blues. We played the Whiskey.
Whiskey Go.
We played the Whiskey with Slash.
Oh, really? What
It
was
was
he
when
doing?
Rod was singing.
Oh, Snake Pit. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think it was Kelly.
Yeah.
Kelly and
Johnny
Fitz wasn't around yet.
Johnny Gaparic on bass.
Roxy.
Was Roxy Kelly replaced, or Kerry Kelly replaced Ryan Roxy,
Right.
and there was a guy named Matt Logg on drums, I think.
That's right.
But there's a whole bunch of confusing stuff that happens where you're kind of like, James Lomenzo was in this band. Like I kind of lose track of who was all in the Snake Pit.
I know. But no, we played every one of those places. But we would also play places in the valley like Bourbon Square, Mancini's, Toby's Jug, the Palomino, and the Palladino.
Right.
Both of those places.
Right.
We played both of them. We played every single place. Every label came to see us. Every label.
That's great.
And as you said, it was a very different time, man. We were really uncool.
Well, yeah, because you guys were a lot more rock than what was going on. Because Los Angeles had just as much of an alternative wave as anywhere else. You know what I mean? But you guys came out flying the flag high of a sort of forgotten time. But you guys had more like, to me, it leans more towards, say, Nugent and stuff like that, or classic rock.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah,
we were never this.
No.
We were never this
Yeah, you were basically how you look now. Really, is kind of was sort of
exactly.
Yeah. So
and man, what we did was we just decided to go and record. We actually got to the point till we were like, hey, we actually have some songs now. We're confident as a band live,
sure.
And we didn't have a deal yet or anything. So our manager just goes, we're putting this out.
That's great.
And we hired an independent radio promoter, and Cadillac Jack fucking just took off.
Great.
And we were on tour forever supporting that record, and it was getting added every day, everywhere. And after 30,000 records, we started getting, hey, we're starting to feel the heat from this record. It's like, you hated us 6 months ago.
Suddenly you're everybody's best friend. Yeah.
Yeah. And man, it was great. We rolled up our sleeves and did it, toured the country. Dude, we were sitting in something that I know you did, that we all did at some point. I remember getting a U-Haul cargo van.
Oh, yeah.
Cargo.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It had a passenger seat and the driver's seat, and we used to put the SVT on its side behind there with bags on it, and that was the bench seat, and it was the four of us. No trailer.
No. That's the most rock and roll way to do it, dude.
We did, and we even went up into Canada in that fucking thing.
That's awesome.
And we went everywhere. So,
and were you opening for everybody, or how did that work? Yeah.
Yeah, the way it happened.
Who'd y'all open for?
Everybody.
Yeah, who'd y'all open for? I'd love to hear the list.
Oh, geez. Ted Nugent, Jackal, Quiet Riot, all those bands that were, and we were playing what I used to call on the way up, on the way down clubs.
Right. Yeah, I know them well.
Because then all of a sudden we get a call from John Greenberg. You know Greenberg?
Yeah. Of course, yeah.
Called our manager and goes, look, I don't know what you think of this. Rat is getting back together.
That's right.
And they're doing a reunion tour. And I remember our manager was afraid to tell us because she was like, I don't know what you guys are going to think about this. She knew that we loved Rat.
Yeah.
But it had been so long. Of course, Robin Crosby wasn't in the band.
No. Is this the record that that Elvis did? Elvis Basket? What year are we talking about?
I don't know. It was It was Stephen, Bobby, Warren.
Was Karabi in that?
Robbie Crane.
Oh, okay, Robbie Crane. Yeah.
They had one guitar player.
Okay, interesting.
And every once in a while, Stephen will put on a guitar and then walk around and just bang the mic and stuff.
Rock and roll.
Yeah, but the fun thing was, though, we were doing perfect size. I would say the average size room on that tour was House of Blues LA. Okay,
yeah. Sure.
Sold out everywhere.
I bet. Yeah.
Because it was just small enough and just big enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we got the whole tour.
Amazing.
And it was perfect, just as what Cadillac Jack was taking off. And we did the first half of that tour in a van.
Okay.
Then Steven walked off the stage at Rockfest and busted his knee, and we were off. The tour got canceled for a few months.
Right.
And then when we came back, we made a deal with them that we would pay for half of because actually they were always toying the idea of having a band and crew bus.
Okay.
And our manager said to them, if you get that crew bus, we'll pay for half of it, put the guys on it.
Okay, yeah,
and that's how we got our first tour bus.
There you go. Yeah, that's the way to do it. Riding with the crew.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And we had the fun bus anyway. Robbie Crane would always come right on our bus with us.
I bet he would, yeah.
We had a blast. It was so fun.
So now where does it go from there when the labels come sniffing around? What actually starts to kind of present itself as a reality from those guys?
Well, the reality was that if it was like a really big label that we all dreamt about, they weren't the ones making the offers to us. And then the ones that were kind of there, it was a deal that we honestly would have been worse off than before we resold our. So there was a brand new label called Spitfire.
Yeah.
And the roster was, in no particular order, Hair of the Dog, Union. That's where Fitz and I met.
That's right. Yeah.
That's how we met.
Yeah. That's Bruce Kulick and Union. I mean, John Karabi and Brent Fitz. Yeah.
Yeah. So then it was Hair of the Dog, Union, Ted Nugent, Alice Cooper, Black Label Society.
Yeah.
Dio.
So it was like a rock and roll label, hard rock label during the weird days of the alternative.
And everybody went there. Yeah. Oh, totally.
Yeah.
So that put us out with everybody, man. Opening for Dio or opening for Black Label or doing it just opened more. But again, it was in that world that we needed to be in. You know what I mean?
That's amazing. Yeah.
And it worked out great because, that's how we got the Alice Cooper dates.
Of course. Yeah.
It was amazing. All synergy. It all really started working that way. But,
that's amazing. That kind of hard work paying off like that. So now how long is it before the Nashville call is coming? Like how long, what exactly was the impetus for that? I'm assuming the band eventually.
We go through 3 records.
Okay.
We go through 3 records.
That's amazing that you did 3. That's awesome. Yeah.
The 3 albums. Last one came out in 2001. We did that final tour. The band, I can honestly tell you, no shit, the band broke up amicably. That's
great. That's awesome.
It wasn't because I hate you, you hate me.
Yeah.
Tired of this, you owe me money. It never was like that. Things were going well. Spitfire, and we have friends that can attest to just the way things were going on, and it was time. The band just wasn't. We weren't excited about the band as much anymore.
Right.
Oh, hold on, let me find that. It's Rachel.
That's all right. I'll just sit here.
Okay. Anyway, and so all of a sudden, for the first time in a decade, almost I didn't know what I was going to do.
Right.
So I didn't do anything for a while.
Really?
I really just had a great time.
Still in Los Angeles at this point? Still in LA?
Stayed in Studio City. I went running every day like I always did. I went on the roof of my building, just hung out in the sun.
It's a nice break.
I decided what I'm going to do. Yeah. And then the Nashville call came back from some Nashville people saying, hey, because I always had a background in publishing. I always knew a lot about, and I wouldn't do anything. And I had a friend who was a producer at a publishing company, said, hey, what do you think about coming back? We're starting this new company. It's Tim McGraw's company. What would you think about coming back and doing that? I was like, man, I'm really not doing anything right now. It was good money.
Yeah.
I was ready for a change of scenery.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'll go try it for a couple of years.
That's crazy. So
2020 now.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's 16 years ago, you're saying that you.
Yeah. But then I got here, and within a couple of years, everybody that lived here know what I had done and who I'd played with, and the gold rush from LA to Nashville hadn't happened yet.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, how different was it? Like, how different was this Nashville from the Nashville you previously were at? Was it still fairly similar?
Not much. There was more of a rock scene here. You had bands like Kings of Leon and all that stuff really, and Paramore and that kind of stuff really starting to bust out of here.
Sure.
But it wasn't until after I was here a few years that everybody in LA, and like I said, again, it could have been an age thing, because some people just outgrow something.
Yeah.
They outgrow a surroundings or just a way of life or whatever. And a lot of the guys that had been in LA forever, and look at it this way, all of us that lived in LA, none of us were from there in the first place.
No, that's true. Yeah. Transplants.
We were all transplants, man.
Yeah.
We were all transplants.
Yeah.
And even though I still consider it home, and I actually want to live there again someday, I really do still love LA.
I do too. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway.
But this is before Kip Winger and Tom Kiefer and Skid Row. Everybody's like in Nashville now. It's the craziest thing.
You know who moved here? Who was a dear friend of mine from LA who moved here and beat me here before I got here was Paul Taylor.
Oh yeah, sure. From Winger. Yeah.
So
what was his reasoning for that? Like back in those days, what was Paul thinking? Like, I don't know, get into the songwriting game out here or something?
He was hoping about thinking the songwriting gang. He was living in Van Nuys.
Right.
And he was also, he owned a home there, and he was just like, he visited here a couple times. And like I said, I think it was just that time of life thing where ready for something different, man.
Right. Like a little change. Yeah, for sure.
And it wasn't like he had a gig offered to him that pulled him here like I did that brought me back. It's just what happened.
But it's an infectious thing, because I was saying to, either Jeremy or Phil, how when you go to Nashville, you go to LA, first of all. Of course, there's a music scene there, but it's film, it's television, it's everything. When you go to Nashville, it's like, it's music. And it's a fascinating thing to have lived music your whole life. It's inside of you. And then to go to some place and just go, everything is about music in this town. It's like, I understand that the allure 100%. It's a whole other thing.
I know what you're saying, because LA, while it is a music town, it's an entertainment town.
It is, yeah.
The film studios.
Yeah.
Just the
pornography. The
Valley.
Yeah.
The Valley.
Exactly. But you go to Nashville, it's like publishing, the songwriting game, the musicians. It's it's
everywhere.
everything. Yeah. It's just.
And then I realized just how badass a player everybody here was.
Oh, it makes the rest of us look like we're standing still. That's the hard part. Is I go to Nashville and I'm completely intimidated by just walking down Broadway and the guy in that place and the guy. Every place has a band playing and they're all like ridiculous. And I'm like, oh, okay. Maybe.
Yeah, and that's part of the thing. When I was at the publishing company, or when I got back here, part of my deal was to put together all the sessions,
right,
and hire the players.
Sure, yeah.
Man, there are people that come play on those records every day and get hired multiple times a day, every day of the week to play, that no one else in the whole world will ever hear of and know their name.
Right.
And they dust everybody that we know. It's just like you just look at them and just go,
I know.
Man.
I know.
And some guys have been on the road doing it. And they just got tired of it. They'd rather
that's mind-boggling.
Go home every night.
Of course. So how does this now? At what point does Phil and Jeremy come into your existence? Because they were already a thing. I know that they were already
Philip got here the same month I did. Philip
okay.
Were here within a week of each other.
Oh, okay. Wow. There you go.
Jeremy, born and raised.
That's
Jeremy's
right.
Born and raised here.
Yeah, he's local.
So when I got here, me and Paul Taylor started talking about just, well, actually Paul came in a little later, but I just wanted to put together for fun, not for money, not to tour, not for anything, but just to put together a fun rock band. And it was all 80s rock. It was Big Rock Show.
And that's Big Rock Show back then. So Big Rock Show's been around. This is your to kind of fill in the background is a great party cover band that plays mostly hard rock, I guess, huh? Yeah.
All the 80s metal stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Whitesnake, Van Halen, Motley, Rat.
Totally.
Everything we were talking about, Priest, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then, and we were just doing that for fun for a while. And then Paul Taylor asked him to do it. He got involved. And then Doc is my neighbor, McGee.
Doc McGee. Kiss's manager, yeah.
And he used to come see us, and hang out. We'd always watch football at his house every weekend and all that. And on the first Kiss cruise, when they were finally going to do it, he called me. He goes, we got to put Big Rock Show on this. Kiss is going to do a cruise. We don't know how it's going to go, but come do this. So that began the whole thing of cruise. And now, here we are, all these cruises later.
Yeah.
But fast forward all that, I had Jeremy and Big Rock Show, right?
Sure.
We did one show in Nashville with Jeremy before we went and did the Kiss cruise.
Great. Wow.
So that's when Jeremy came into the picture. I actually asked Philip to do it first. Didn't know Jeremy.
Right. He told me that.
But Philip couldn't do it.
My roommate can do it.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
So Jared came, and then we all started just hanging out all the time. And then every year on the Kiss cruise, which you've done.
Yeah.
Paul and Gene would always come out and watch us and be super nice and everything.
Have a good time.
And then that's what led to Gene going. One year he called me. Actually, Christina called me and said, "Hey, will you meet Gene for lunch? She wants to talk to you about something." And he goes, "Look, I love the band. It's fun. I'm going to do some solo stuff. Will you put together a band for me?" He goes, "I don't care who you get, and I don't care what they look like."
Wow. Okay. Great. You just happened to stumble upon what I've already told Jeremy and Ryan. At first glance, I said, the three of you, the talisman, as we call them, the three of you guys. It's like this. I said to him, there was like a three-headed monster of like no sleeves and bell bottoms and long hair, and I go, and it's just like the three of you are just like at first it's almost like which one is which? Like you're kind of like overwhelmingly but the fact that you guys are so locked in as musicians and you harmonize together so well, for the fact that you guys just gotta step in behind Gene or step in behind Ace or step in behind anybody really. And I think that's what the Gene thing, what's made it so exciting was that it was actually comprised of massive Kiss fans, who could dictate. I know it started as sort of a cover like Stax and Motown kind of thing, but grew to be like, "Hey, Gene." One show, yeah. And then you're like, "Hey, Gene, charisma. Hey, Gene, almost human.
Got love for sale."
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, and as a fan, we'd all look at that set list and go, "Dude, like, first of all, we would kill to see anybody play that, but being able to play those songs with him would be like, come on." It'd be like, I'd be like, that's a wrap. Retire after that. Yeah.
When we opened that first show, because we did I don't count the first show as the first show because it was at Trump Tower in Canada, in Toronto.
Right.
For a convention.
Right.
And we played a hotel ballroom.
And that was literally Motown and R&B stuff or something, wasn't
It was some Kiss, but you know all the people. But see, the thing was, they weren't Kiss fans. These are people that knew Kiss, knew Gene because of Family Jewels.
Sure. That's such a weird thing to consider, yeah.
And then we would play some Kiss songs, but then we also did stuff like by Treat Her Right by Roy Head, or something by Wilson Pickett, or all this kind of stuff. And all the while, it was fun to be playing with Gene. And I've said this in front of him, but in my heart of hearts, I was like, this isn't right. This is cool, but this could be so much cooler. So by the time we got to that first show in Cleveland and didn't do any of that, and we opened with Radioactive and went into Got Love for Sale and did Charisma and did all that, you could literally see people just freaking the fuck out. You know,
of course,
it was really cool.
The only thing cooler than being in the audience is to be on stage doing that. That's
exactly.
And so that goes on. What started off as like 5 shows turns into like a year, 2 years of almost 2 years, I think.
Almost 2 years exactly. Yep.
So crazy.
Crazy. Because he told me too. He told me that it wouldn't happen. He goes, look, don't count on this for more than 4 or 5 shows. I'm just too busy.
Yeah. But then then he saw how fun it was, I'm sure. Yeah.
He had a blast.
Oh, of course
and
he did.
Trusted us. Honestly, to tell you the truth, and this is me totally bragging, and I get it because I don't like people who brag. I think it's unattractive and all that.
Brag away. This is
But I will tell you this: but the 3 of us became friends because of Kiss.
Yeah. That's got to be
Kiss. And we knew Kiss songs, and I think that he was surprised at how well versed we were.
Yeah.
And then he really started. And then he really trusted us, and that's when it all started.
And I think that's the beauty of it is you know, including Brent, when you have Brent Fitz there. I know Brent so well too, and I know he's also a stickler about, like, if we're going to play these songs, let's play them correctly, you know what I mean? And
absolutely.
And I think, you know, I'm sure Gene felt, you know, obviously he believed in you guys enough so that when Ace was suddenly like that came into the mix, it was kind of like, well, these are the guys for you. And I know you guys went off to Australia and did that thing where you were both Ace's band and Gene's band on a run.
Yep.
So what was that like? That must have been like, so it's just another bunch of songs that you already know how to play.
pretty much. Yeah, it pretty much was. And and Gene was very diplomatic and safe in the way that it came about. He's very safe.
Yeah.
Meaning, because for Ace to go there, Ace would have had to pay for his whole band, do the whole deal. Mm-hmm. And so he reached out to Gene via email and said, hey, because he had played with us once before in Minneapolis, and we did some songs, and he really liked us. We hit it off. He said, hey, is that the same band? Gene said, yes. He goes, what would you think about me asking them, if you're okay with it, about asking them to be my band? And Gene goes, copied me on the email, and goes, I'm fine. Ask Ryan. So I privately texted Gene, privately.
Are you cool with this kind of thing?
Are you really cool with this?
Yeah.
Because if you're not, I'll play along, and I'll play along, and we won't do it.
Right.
He goes, no, I'm really okay with it if you want to do it.
Yeah, sure.
Just so it doesn't affect our show. And so we did it. And then the next thing was we had a few more shows with Gene after that, but on the spot in Australia, and it's even on video, which is a really uncomfortable thing. You know, you got Gene telling Ace on video when everybody in Australia he's like, you should fire your band.
Jesus.
You know, and I've met those guys. They have all been completely sweethearts. And
they're awesome. Yeah.
And everything. Yeah. But anyway, Ace, he goes, you should use them on the cruise. And then that's kind of where, that's sort of where it all went. And here we are still today with Ace.
Still going today. Yeah. So I had to say to the other guys, what a trip it is, as we all were children falling into rock and roll, staring at album covers, and then you're standing on stage, you know, especially in the nights when you're doing both, must have been like, hey, that's Gene Simmons. Hey, that's Ace Frehley. You know, it's like,
yeah, to go to bed each night and go, when you're by yourself, you go, I just played with half a Kiss.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool, man.
The goal is now to get on stage with Paul and somehow find get Peter out of retirement too. Yeah, you have to. Yeah.
But no, it was just so awesome. Cool feeling. And, you know, Gene would always, it would be 2, 3 in the morning. and I would get a text or an email from Gene just going, "Hey, man, thanks for making me look so good tonight. You guys are just great." And I saved every one of those fucking things.
That's so
It was
great.
really, it makes you, I told the guys, I was the example, it makes you walk taller.
It does. Yeah, yeah. And I think the fact that he had been fortunate enough to surround himself with people who actually give a damn about his music, give a damn about how it's played and how it's presented, is you can't put a price on that. It's kind of like you can always find guys who can play guitar and who can play drums and they'll play the parts, but it's something to be said about and I mean the fact the proof is in the pudding, because the fans, Kiss fans, they know you guys like, it's like you guys are a part of that family tree now. And it's
dude. And how many, here's the thing is real quick is everybody knows about your stuff with Bob and Bruce and everything and the shows and how great they were and how you really thought about doing a different era of Kiss that you didn't get to hear.
Sure.
And they love that, right?
Yeah.
And the point I'm getting to is I'm really good about not watching chatter online. I don't like it. If they say we're great, thank you. If you say we suck, that's okay too. But I am not going to go read it. I will not get online every night.
No.
That being said, I've watched Kiss chatter, like about cruises and stuff. Kiss fans are fucking go for it. I mean, they really go after people.
Yeah, yeah.
And
it's a passionate bunch.
They have been very supportive and really nice to us. And
you guys are fans like me and Brent. It's like we're fans of the music, and I think we connect with the people on the cruise because we're like, if I wasn't playing here, I'd love to just be hanging out on here. It's kind of like I'd probably be So it's kind of so now is that the next step? We can wrap it up here, just kind of like into whatever. Sure. I know that you probably had a bunch of things on your plate, and then COVID happened, and suddenly you're like at home. But what was supposed to be coming up next?
We're actually supposed to be gone right now.
Are you? Yeah.
So the way Ace was working, we ended in right before Christmas.
Right.
And it almost looked like Alice Cooper's schedule. We were scheduled to start back up in June. Like, Coop tours the last half of every year.
Yeah.
Every year.
Yeah, absolutely.
While we're not like that, I compared it to that. I'm like, we're supposed to start on the end of May or June and then go forward. So a lot of our stuff's been moved to next year. That being said, 2 weeks ago, I started seeing on all the music, your blabbermouths, your heart, your whatever.
Yeah.
They announced 7 Ace dates starting in August.
Okay. Yeah. In America?
Starts in the States.
Okay.
The first, all of them except one are in America. The last one is New Year's Eve in Stockholm, Sweden, and Gronelund. Right?
Wow. Cool.
I can't remember exactly what they are, but it's like Atlantic City, Pennsylvania, Ohio, the dates I saw. Now, do I want to go play? Absolutely.
Sure.
Can I guarantee that these are going to happen? I have no idea.
I know. That's the hard part right now is just the kind of rolling of the dice. Stuff gets postponed and you're just like kind of stuck, what can you do?
Because we have friends, like I know you guys, I'm not sure what's going on if you're going to do a record or if they were touring or whatever, but we all have friends that their tours are completely not happening. Like, for example, just talking to Rachel last night, Skid Row. Everything they had, they're like, we're just 2020 is off. We are not going out. Wow. Even if someone calls and offers them to reschedule or do something, we've decided just that this ain't going to happen this year, man. And a lot of bands are doing that. That's a pretty big,
it's a pretty big commitment to say, I'm not going to work for the rest of this year is a pretty bold thing to say. I wanted to touch base on that because you appear once in a while at Skid Row shows in the place of Snake Sabo, and I'm always like, hey, that's Ryan. That's Ryan.
Yeah.
So you once in a while we'll fill in. That must be a blast.
It's fantastic. And Hair of the Dog opened for them. That's how we met.
Yeah, back in the day.
And then when I got back here, Rachel was living in Atlanta.
Wow.
And he would always come and visit me and stay on my couch.
Huh.
And then finally I go, why don't you just move here? And it wasn't me that made him do it. He goes, I've already been thinking about it.
There you go.
He lives around the corner.
That's so awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, his dumbass keeps beeping in as we're talking here, so I'm going to kill him.
Well, please say hi for me. I haven't seen him in a long time. Last time I saw him was I think Download in England or something like that. It was just kind of. That's right. You played there. That's where it was. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's so funny.
Because Fitz and I watched Whitesnake up on the side together.
That was great.
And then I came over to your side to watch your show.
Right.
Remember the mud?
Dude.
Oh, my God.
That's the best thing about those European festivals with the rain. It's just mud and madness. It's like, I love it. It's so rock and roll.
That was my first download trip ever.
Oh, it's the best. It's like, I always have those images in my mind of like seeing Motley Crue on like Shout of the Devil with Heineken beer at Castle Donington and going, I didn't even know what Heineken beer was. I go, what are they drinking?
Oh, that's cool, man.
But
all that being said, I'm the same way. If we can tour, I'll do it if it's safe.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Dude, I've already accepted the fact that I probably will not be on a stage until next year. It's just that if I sit and stress about it or anything, I still won't be on the stage. So, but you know what? I'm okay.
I know it's the same for me. It's like I found myself kind of siding into like recording and stuff like that. That's why I'm doing stuff like this. I'm like, I'm sitting at home. I love my friends. I love talking about rock and roll. I love talking about this stuff. And I'm like, I'm going to call Ryan and we're going to just shoot the shit anyway. And whether we're,
so glad.
And I think it's going to be great because I really, the biggest reason to do this is I hope people hear stories like yours, which I think is a fascinating, because what's really interesting to me is the guy who grows up in LA and he starts a band and they get signed is one thing. It's another thing for guys like you and me, where it's like you live somewhere else and the idea of going to LA or even Nashville is like, that's a crazy thought. You're a crazy person for thinking that, you know. And
absolutely.
And you go. You've done it both. You've done Hollywood and Nashville. That's amazing.
Yeah, and the thing is, you being, moving to Vegas, the whole thing, all of us done it. The one thing that I do want to say though, if there is somebody that's a little younger that's watching, or I don't even think I have to be younger. It's just if you've been somewhere so long, the people know you as something, and there's no way they're ever going to let you out of that lane.
I know where you're going.
One of the things I loved so much about moving away was if there's something that you wasn't quite there in your life, no matter where it is you're working, you have every opportunity when you leave and go to be that new person and live in the skin that you always wanted to live in. If it was like, if you got shit for having long hair, if you got shit for having tattoos or doing it, that's one of the things that I still love so much about it. Even if the band stuff wouldn't have worked, it was just, oh God, I feel better.
Yeah, absolutely.
And nothing bad happened.
No.
But it was just always, there was that thing to where I've known you your whole life. What are you doing? And it's getting there. It's like no one knows you.
No.
And you can start. It's a good feeling, man. It's a
complete reboot. I know, because for me it was like coming to the States. I was from Canada with a recording deal and like that stuff going on. So, but when I came down here, I was just some guy named Todd. It's like, and you basically got to step up and show what you got and hope you can kind of rebuild. And it's really healthy, I think, sometimes to kind of be. It's one thing to be the big fish in your town. That's great. Come to LA, man. Come to New York. Come to Nashville. See how big how big a fish you are. Yeah.
And the thing is to be able to survive it, because tell me if you agree with this. LA does everything it can to destroy your band.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It's 100%. Like you can get hooked up with the wrong people. You can start doing stupid shit.
Absolutely.
You can just go off the rails. It's like, when people go to Vegas and lose their fucking mind.
Oh, totally. Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
You can go there and just completely derail yourself. So I always feel like LA was designed to destroy you.
It's a big old test. Like you're either you're gonna kind of get above that and do your thing, or you're gonna get sucked down in it. Because every scene, every city has stuff. You know what I mean? But like totally. LA is, totally. People go there, their dreams get crushed. People go to Nashville, their dreams get crushed. It's part of the test. You know what I mean? And
it's part of it. Yeah. I know, man. I know.
But I really appreciate you. Yeah,
it's cool though. I was gonna say it's cool though, because now, certainly haven't been able to do everything that I've wanted to do yet. I hope there's so much more stuff to do, but just to be able to meet guys like you, and we form friendships over music.
Absolutely, yeah. The same love.
And that's all I want to do is have music be the main thing in my life and be able to create good relationships out of it. So,
well,
as far as that goes, man,
it always will be, regardless of whatever way it takes you. I think music, even if you decided to go, into anything else, music's always going to be a big part of
whatever.
Look at your room. Look at my Alice Cooper
Absolutely.
comic book up there. It's such a big part. That's a yellow submarine pillow stuck into my upright bass.
I see that.
And a Gene Simmons mask with a
I love it.
With a wolf mask on it. Grown men just with stuff.
We're kids.
I know, we're kids. We are not.
Look at these. Looky. That really is accurate of Ace.
There you go. It's not only are you you're forgiven for never growing up. It's actually encouraged in rock and roll to be just kind of like, stay a kid. 100%.
Gotta be.
It keeps you young.
Peter Pan,
100%.
It does.
I love you, brother. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you.
Man, I'm so happy to do this and so thrilled that you asked me, and I just adore you. And thank you for having me.
Anytime, man. Good luck with everything.
Even before shows happen, man, as soon as we do really get the green light to travel, even if it's not for work.
Yeah.
Man, I want to go somewhere so bad.
Totally.
And if I find out that I can come sit at a pool in Vegas, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to call you, man.
You must, sir. You must. Please do.
Me, you, Fitz, and Red Cup Jeff.
Yes, Red Cup Jeff. Even if you don't want him there, he's just going to appear. It's just like
I know.
I'm surprised he doesn't meet you at the airport. Just boom, he's there. Yeah.
He has.
Yeah, I know he has.
He's picked me up. I love it.
He's the best. I just saw him the other day.
Well, thank you so much, dude.
Thank you, brother. Good to see you, man.
Thank you. I love you.
See you soon. Big love.